Hi, my name is Jessica Lackey, and I am currently applying for admission to the School Leadership Graduate Program at Sam Houston State University for the spring 2023 semester. I am currently completing my 13th year in education as a special education teacher, but this year I'm actually working as a special education alt in Klein ISD, which is a special education academic lead teacher, which means I spend half my day doing teaching as an in-class support for third grade, and the other half of my day is spent doing leadership responsibilities such as coaching, observations, scheduling, as well as working very closely with my leadership team as well as my related services and support team on our campus. Our campus is currently has the largest special education population as on an elementary campus in Klein ISD. So we have a lot of needy kids, but we have a really great staff. And it gave me a lot of leadership experience. So doing scheduling, also conflict resolution, critical thinking, especially thinking about better solutions on how we can best serve our kids, because we are an understaffed kids with everything going on with the pandemic, and teachers are currently leaving education. So we're having to combat that and make sure that we're following the law, but also making sure we are correctly we're providing all the services that we can for our kids. I have taught, like I said, I've taught 13 years, but I've also taught pretty much every grade level as a homebound teacher, as well as in general education, as well as in special education. For example, the youngest student I've taught in 13 years was 3 years old, and my oldest was a senior. I've even taught some of my students that did the 18 plus program, which means my oldest actually was in 22 during those programs. So I've had a very good experience working with different grade levels, but also in different subjects as well. As a general education teacher, I actually worked as a third grade self-contained teacher, and I was on a really great, strong team. It gave me a great foundation as to what curriculum should be. For special education, you're looking at what I always say a special education teacher is the accommodation and modification specialist, and a general education teacher is the curriculum specialist. So it gave me a great foundation in learning how to teach curriculum to students who may typically not have a disability, or they may have a 504 plan or something like that. And I think being able to do that and having experience as a special education teacher was what made me really love teaching third grade, and I'm actually in class support for third grade this year. The next question was, how do you make an environment inclusive? I have to be honest, I think the biggest thing is having a well-rounded team that has different experiences, and that's something many people can learn from each other on a campus. I'm gonna be honest, as a person of color in education, there's been many times where there aren't many people I've worked with many people who didn't look like me, or had teachers that didn't look like me. For example, as a student when I was in school, the first black male teacher I actually had was in college. I never had one going through K through 12. So I think really being mindful of that, but also making sure that you're noticing what kind of impact that may have on a student. It's very influential when you have a teacher that looks like you, and I think sometimes we don't necessarily always see that. On the other hand, as a educator working in a professional environment, I think you really need to be able to learn from everyone. Even being a teacher at 13 years, I am constantly learning something new every day. And I've learned some things that I may have been doing that, take up a lot of time, but I'm learning from my first year teachers, hey, I saw that you do this. Maybe you can do this. So being able to be open to learning from someone else. I think that's one way of being in an inclusive and respectful environment, but also knowing that you're not going to always agree with someone on your campus about certain things, and that's okay. It's okay to not have the same opinion, have the same viewpoint, but you also have to be respectful of their viewpoint. One of the things that I would say makes an effective leader is when a leadership can admit that they don't know everything. As a person that's, I've been teaching 13 years. I don't know everything, and I'm always willing to learn. I'm always willing to ask questions. On the flip side, I think an effective administrator should know educational law and specifically special education law. It has been eye-opening for a little bit, seeing that some administrators really didn't know special education law, some of that case law, and then they end up buying in but later on. But at the end of the day, as an administrator, I would want whoever is on my team to be willing to come to me if they have a question or something like that, and not feel like I'm going to, criticize them or anything like that. I think being able to build that relationship, like, how can I support you? What do you need? Please let me know how I can support you. Building that kind of buy-in at the beginning of the year, but also practicing what you preach is one way to be an effective leader. I also think that you have to temper it with, I am here to support you, but at the end of the day, I still have to ensure that you're doing your job and making sure that we are doing what we do best, which is teaching kids. I also look at, being able to know when something is not the best fit for a teacher. Sometimes it could be a class of personalities. Some teachers and students just don't necessarily get along, and that's okay to say, okay, well, maybe we need to look at this situation and make some changes. But all in all, as an administrator, I never want to lose sight of where I came from. I think any administrator should go back into the classroom, especially now after COVID. It is a different beast the past 3 years. And I think now where the administrators weren't really feeling that pressure, but they are now. And it's always one to kind of humble yourselves, like, hey, this is what we deal with every day. I want you to come in and see what we're doing. Give me the feedback and let me run with it. I think by being able to do that, you'll build that buy-in and also have the support from your staff as well. And I think I answered all the questions. So thank you again for this opportunity, and I hope to hear a decision very soon. Have a good day.